Hi, welcome back. I built this cabinet earlier for Dovetail October, but we didn't do that challenge this year, so I still need to build some doors for it. I have this thick cherry that I'm going to process for the door stiles and rails and frame bits. This case was built out of 1/2 inch cherry with hand-cut dovetails. I mean, what else do you do for your PPE? I should mention that a friend gave me all of this lumber when she moved away for a better job. You might see where she put her logo on some of the wood before giving it to me. Let's see if you can tell who she is. Like any good project, we need to mill the lumber to the correct dimensions and get a couple of references. And you gotta wave to the neighbors when you work in a garage shop. I'm ripping these in half to get the stiles for each side of the doors. And because I can't count, I had to throw in a spare piece of lumber to offset some missing materials. They are more narrow, but it works out. And here's kind of a rough look of what we're going for. Make a shooting board. This will square up your edges perfectly. I made mine to have an adjustable fence for miters, but the 90-degree is all I ever really use. I am hand cutting these to final length so I don't accidentally take off too much material with the miter saw by not accounting for the blade thickness. And I can go right into the shooting board and square up those edges. Notice how the reflection in the saw looks square? That's how you can tell you're cutting square. I'm drilling some stop holes for the router bit so my groove doesn't go all the way through and I end up with a goofy gap. I'm using this sled that I made to ride over my fence to cut the mortises and tenons for these rails to lock together. I forget what that joinery is actually called. I'm bulking them out here and will finesse the fit with hand tools. I will then square up the shoulders and thickness the tenons with a chisel. I didn't cut these mortises deep enough, so instead of risking deflection on the table saw, I'm just trimming the tenons down to sit in square. This worked out better because my dados lined up from the beginning without any special fits or wiggles and adjustments. Before gluing the panels in, I'm going to add a little slight round over on the inside edges. At the time of making this, I didn't have a vacuum bag for gluing down these veneers, so I tried to clamp the panels with as much even pressure as possible to my assembly table. It clearly didn't work. So immediately after this, I ordered the bag and the pump and all the things. I sanded the parts with 120 and 220 grit. This helped smooth out the bad veneer some, but it's still not perfect. It's shop furniture. I'll deal with it. Now that the parts are all sanded, we can glue it up. I was going to make some elaborate brass pins to drive into the joints, but this Type Bond 3 holds pretty well. I use this because the humidity changes drastically in Texas and my garage is not temperature controlled. While those are setting up, I hopped on the lathe to make some knobs out of some figured ash. I made one prior to filming to make sure I could get it right. My camera died before the final results. Sorry. Also, don't be dumb like me. Use the face shield that is literally right there. Like most things in my shop, I am self-taught on the lathe. Don't use my techniques as any significant reference. Any turners can tell me in the comments everything I'm doing wrong. But just be nice, please. I left the joinery oversized so I could trim to fit. A little flush trim saw here, a little smoothing plane there, brings them all in square. The faces are a little proud at the joints as well. I just knocked them down a little. It's important to pay attention to the grain direction, unless it's pecan. Then it doesn't matter because it will change 47 times in 2 inches. You might notice the workpiece wobble a little while I'm working on this. My bench has seen better days. I've cut joinery and rebuilt engines on this thing. I might have to copy Tamar and build a new bench with some draws. Off camera, I added this little shelf out of some scrap Purple Heart that I had laying around. It's just some simple construction and some CA glue. I made pegs for the other door. No big deal. Here, I'm marking for the hinges and laying them out. A router plane would be real handy. With Christmas coming up and all, Dad. I am measuring off the bottom of the doors, so any of my discrepancies should end up at the top, above my head, theoretically. I didn't account for the case having shifted in the few weeks of different humidity levels. I discovered a neat trick for installing these screws. I always have chapstick on me, but I never use it. So I decided to wax the screws. It's much easier. I'm installing the knobs I made, but I didn't account for the diameter of them and made an even measurement on both doors. You'll see why that's a problem. Yeah, now the doors hit the knobs. But it's my job as a professional to fix it like it was a feature. these little clamp-in door latches. They have a little swivel to them to allow for seasonal movement and keep my doors from flying open when stuff falls inside. And here's the final reveal. I decided to build this cabinet because I found myself with more PPE than I could store in my old cabinet. There's a first aid kit, eye protection, dust masks, hearing protection, and camera stuff. I hope you're inspired to build something ridiculous for a simple purpose. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and consider subscribing.